Today's episode is going to be a bit of a personal one for me because I'm going to talk about something that I've experienced during my self-development that has been significant and difficult to implement, and sometimes even now still catches me out. And that is the idea that we seek approval from people that disrespect us. Have you ever found yourself working hard to impress someone who clearly doesn't respect you? Maybe it's a boss, or a parent, or a friend, or even a partner. They treat you like you're beneath them. They dismiss you, criticize you, or make you feel small. And yet you keep trying to win their approval. You tell yourself you don't care what they think, but somewhere deep inside you, you do. You want them to see your worth. You want them to finally acknowledge you, let alone acknowledge that you're enough. You want them to like your posts on social media. You don't want them to leave you on unread on WhatsApp or not forget to invite you to that thing that you're all doing. Why do we do that? Why do we seek approval of the people who treat us like we're not on their level? That's what we're going to dive into today. But I want to start with a story because I didn't realise, but I did that all the time. I used to joke, or I joke now about the previous version of myself, that if you wanted my attention, completely ignore me. That's how you'll get it. Even in restaurants, you go in and they act like they're better than you, or the hotel where they act like they're better than you. And it becomes this unconscious plight to get them to like you or to get them to talk to you in a different way or whatever it is. It was something that I did all the time. I did it in business relationships. I did it in personal relationships. I did it when I was younger and out on the dating scene. I always wanted the girl that had no interest in me whatsoever. Why did I do that? Well, through therapy and through self-discovery and through self-exploration, it comes back down to the same thing it always did. My relationship with my father. When I was younger, as you probably know if you're a frequent listener and you've watched Slavery of Addiction, my father was very, very abusive and violent towards me, my siblings and my mother. And I spent a lot of my childhood making and creating a meaning that it must mean that I'm not good enough, that I'm doing something wrong, and that if I change my behavior, he'll treat me better. He'll treat everybody else better. And my whole existence as a child was about seeking my father's approval, was trying to figure out what he wants me to do and do it so that he'll love me and he'll like me and he'll treat me better and perhaps he'll treat other people better. I practiced that habit throughout my entire childhood. Through my impressionable years, it became my identity. When I bumped into somebody that disrespected me or wasn't interested in me or just talked to me like I was crap, instead of thinking, my God, I want to keep as far away from them as possible, they're obviously a bad person or not my person, I became enamored with them. Oh, I wonder what it is that I'm doing wrong. I wonder how I can get their attention. I wonder what I can do differently to make them like me. That was how I saw the world. And I spent, like I said, the first part of my life desperately trying to find a way to get my father to like me, love me, notice me, care about me in any way. And that became a lifelong habit. As soon as I experienced characters like that in my life, which we all will at some point for whatever reason, it became a job of mine to get them to like me, to find a way to get their attention, to say or do that thing that's going to make them change their mind about me. Not that I ever had any confirmation that that was how they were thinking. They probably didn't care at all. I don't know. You'll never know why somebody acts the way they do, or whether they are acting the way they do, or whether it's your perception of how they're acting, whatever. So many things could be going on. But the reason why this topic is so important to me is because if I'm not careful, if I don't gatekeep my mind, if I don't ask myself the right questions, if I'm not an observer of how I'm behaving, if I find myself in that autonomous behavior again and that unconscious behavior again, I can fall back into that trap very easily because it's part of who I became as a kid. It was part of my identity, who I thought I was. And it was only when I was able to identify that behavioral trait within myself was I able to deliberately course correct it and start to put things in place to support my changing of that behavior. So, what is the hidden desire behind the disrespect? What have I learned through this process that I've been on? Well, when someone disrespects you, when they treat you like you're less than them, something primal is triggered within you. It's not just about that moment. It taps into a deeper wound, the need to be seen, the need to be valued, the human desire to be accepted by others. At our core, human beings want recognition. I see this all the time in clients, and I ask them what they want, and they find all these really creative ways of saying, basically, I want to be recognized. I want somebody to see my work and go, that is amazing. I want someone to see my post, listen to my podcast, read my book, whatever it is. I want them to see me at work. I want, even if whatever it is I'm doing, whether I'm working in a big corporation or I'm working at McDonald's, I want someone to recognize me, to see me. And they feel shame about asking for that. They feel a sense of desperation. They feel like it's wrong, like it's egotistical to ask, to want recognition from others. We want to know that we matter, especially to the people who make us feel like we don't. And when someone withholds that recognition, it creates tension. We start performing for it, not because we love them, but because we want to correct that injustice that we feel has been done. We want to prove to them, and maybe even to ourselves, that we are in fact good enough. It's like emotional debt. They owe us respect, and we keep paying interest on it by working for their approval. But here's the paradox. The more you chase validation from someone who disrespects you, the more power you give them to define your worth. There's another layer to this, and it's not one you're going to like. And that's envy. Not envy in a traditional sense of wanting what they have, but envy in the emotional hierarchy of relationships. When someone treats you like you're beneath them, they're positioning themselves above you. And subconsciously, you envy that position. You want to be there. You want to be them or be like them. You envy their emotional power. The fact that they can make you feel small. You start to think, if I can get their approval, maybe I'll be on their level. That's the illusion. But the truth is, you were never beneath them in the first place. They just made you feel that way. And you accepted that version of reality. Envy isn't always about possessions. It's often about emotional hierarchy. Who gets to feel valuable and who doesn't? And that's why this kind of dynamic breeds resentment, breeds anger, because deep down, you know you shouldn't have to prove yourself. You know it's unfair. Yet you keep trying because the longing for fairness keeps you tied to that cycle. And as we know, anger's about injustice, frustration, resentment, all of that is a breeding ground, and it creates this cycle that you feel stuck in, and before you know it, you're angry all the time. Get a little bit of reactive abuse. Oh, why are you so angry? See, you're always like this. This is why I never call you. This is why I never invite you to things. See how easy it is to get caught up in. When people seek approval from those who disrespect them, what they're really searching for is emotional justice. You want the person who hurt you to acknowledge your worth. You want them to say, I was wrong about you. I see you now. I respect you. That longing comes from the child inside of us who once needed that from someone who never gave it to them. And every time you find yourself performing for someone's approval, you're not really performing for them. You're performing for the memory of the one who made you feel invisible. Recognition, validation, respect, these are powerful emotional currencies. But if you chase them from people who disrespect you, you'll stay emotionally bankrupt because they were never planning to pay you in those currencies. Ever. Let's talk about them for a second. I have to be careful. I'm really observing myself during this recording because this is something that has genuinely been a source of emotional torture for me and keeps coming up in my life. So let's talk about them for a second. Why do people treat others like they're not on their level? Sometimes it's insecurity disguised as superiority. Sometimes it's projection. They see in you something they wish that they had. Other times, it's control. Keeping you beneath them helps them feel powerful. Now, I know it's hard to believe that when you look at somebody behaving that way, that it's actually about their insecurity, because it definitely doesn't feel like that. But I promise you it is. They've got their own stuff going on, and they're trying to manage it in the best way they can without losing that feeling of superiority or that power that they feel that they've got. But what you might notice is that none of those things are really about you. It's about how they regulate their own fragile sense of worth. Again, I know it's hard to believe. Understanding that doesn't excuse the behavior. That's not what I'm saying. But it does help you see it clearly. Because once you realize that their treatment of you says more about their limitations than your value, you start to free yourself from their emotional control. So the important bit. How do you stop it? How do you stop doing it? It's a practice. If it's anything like my experience, this is significant. This is hard and you don't always realize you're doing it. And therein lies the trap a little bit. You stop by recognizing when you're performing for approval instead of living in truth. Ask yourself some questions. Questions like, am I doing this because it aligns with my values or because I want someone to notice me? Would I still do this if they never acknowledged it? Am I seeking connection or correction? These are powerful questions. There'll be a strong response, a powerful feeling, maybe even a willingness and a wanting to deny all of it. You can't possibly think that this person is going to be like that. I tell you where it happens a lot. When you start to rise on social media and people start to listen to your podcast, watch your reels, start to really get something from what you're doing. And other people don't like it because they think that your success becomes about their failure. That's not what's going on. And as soon as you start playing in that game, you become a player in that game. And it's probably not a game you can win because the rules always change. So you can reclaim your power the moment you stop needing them to respect you because you already respect yourself. Respect doesn't start with how others treat you. It starts with how you treat yourself in the presence of those who don't. When you hold your dignity in the face of disrespect, you quietly teach the world how to treat you without saying a word. So here's the truth. You don't need the approval of anyone who disrespects you. Their opinion of you is just a reflection of their own insecurity, not your inadequacy. The people who see your worth will never make you fight for it. I promise you that. And the ones who make you fight for it were never capable of recognizing it in the first place. Let them underestimate you. Let them think you're beneath them. Because while they're busy protecting their ego, you're out there doing the real work, healing, growing, and building a life that doesn't require their validation. And one day, they'll look up and realize you were never beneath them. You just stopped kneeling. This is an important one. And as you can tell, it's important to me. And it's something I have to keep an eye on because, like I said, and full disclosure, as my life changes, as opportunities come my way, as things start to evolve in my career, I experience this stuff all the time. And it's interesting to me how I see some of the people that make big claims about how they want to help people, how if just one person sees their posts, that they'll love that and that that's what they need and want. But yet when I'm at the charity event that's not getting publicized and there's no advantage to them, they're not there. And I am. So that's what I mean about keep on doing the real work. Stick to your integrity. Stick to the person that you are. Be a good person. Be kind. Give people your attention. Be present. Care about others. And it will pay off. Is it a slower road? Absolutely. It really is. There are times, many times, that you want to give up. But don't. Because who else is going to represent the realness? Who else is going to represent what really matters when it comes to self-development, self-leadership, really helping people? The lessons that I pass along, the wisdom that I pass along is not because I'm better than anyone else. It's not because I'm super smart or I'm starting a cult or I want to be known as a guru. It's because I've had a lifelong obsession for whatever reason. Sometimes those reasons haven't been good ones. I've had a lifelong obsession with trying to be better. We're trying to understand human beings because I grew up as that little kid who didn't understand why my dad was the way he was, why he was so violent, why he was so angry, why he hated me so much when I was just a child. I didn't do anything. I never understood it. So it only could make sense to me by thinking that it was my fault. And you'll meet characters like this in life. They refuse to take responsibility for their own shortcomings. Instead, they'll try to pass them on to you, blame you, shame you. Do not let them. Recognize that you are incredibly powerful. You're an amazing person. And honestly and truthfully, I consistently see it when I work with people. You're the only one that can take you down. And if somebody's treating you that way, it's because you're letting them. And I know how hard that is to buy into. I get it. I get it. I know how hard it is if you're in an abusive relationship, whether physical or emotional, when you hear someone say you're letting them do that. I get it. I hear that language, but there's a part of that that's true. As horrible as it is to hear. Anyway, as you can tell, my emotions again are away with me here. This is an important topic for me. Not only have I experienced it, I've watched my mum go through it, watched my siblings go through it. I've watched people I care about and clients go through it too. So I know how important this one is. I hope this has been helpful to you. Usually this would be where I sell the self-made course, but I'm just going to let you know it's there because I don't think it's appropriate after such a emotional episode. So instead, I'll just let you know it's there, and the link to it's in the show notes. But thank you once again for coming along on this journey with me. The podcast is really starting to take off. I still need your help, though. I still need you to go into the review section in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever, and just leave a review. Just hit the 5-star button, leave some words telling people how you experience this podcast. I can't put into words how much it helps. It helps the podcast apps recognize that this is a podcast worth listening to, and they'll start suggesting it to others, and we can grow and we can grow. We can get bigger and better guests. I can finally get out of this studio, get a really swanky one, and forget who I am. No, I'm joking. It's important. It's important. We're on this journey together. These topics that I bring are the ones that I feel are really, really impactful and helpful. So that's why I talk about these things. Anyway, I'm at the risk of ranting, so I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you for leaving a review in advance. Thank you for sharing on social media. Thank you for all of it. And I will see you next week for another episode of the Johnny Lawrence Podcast.